Hello, my name is Branden Bryce. Welcome to the Veggie Gardener. Alright, so today we're talking about companion plants. I'm just going to really introduce it because I'm still targeting beginners and I'm just wanting to ease into it. Plus they're kind of up in the air and loosey-goosey. Anyways, alright, so the purpose is so that we can learn about companion plants and why and how to use them, and really just how to start using them, easing your way into it. Okay, first, if you like this, or if you find this informative, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm really trying to reach as many people as I can. And all right, so let's get into it. Benefits. So why will we use companion plants? The different plants when planted together, well, let me back up just a little bit. When you walk out into nature, say you go on a hike or anything, there's never going to be an instance where a plant is just all alone. They actually, they're a community, just like us. Anyways, all right. So, when we plant them together, a lot of times we can increase the vigor. We can increase the taste, or, better taste, obviously. And we can have better texture. Sometimes we can reduce pest insects. We can also increase beneficial insects. However, that's going to be mostly with our flowers and herbs. So it's also good to, when we learn about vegetable gardening, although I'm hitting hard on the vegetables right now, we're going to also start at some point talking about flowers and herbs. And so we can increase our beneficials. Beneficials will be like your pollinators, so that you can actually get pollinated flowers and produce fruits that way. They also increase predator insects that eat the pest insects. Part of the part of the insect dynamic is not necessarily that you're wanting to get rid of all your insects 100%. It's actually really, you're kind of just wanting to balance it out. You want the ecosystem of your garden to work in a way in which nothing is overpowering and it balances out. Anyway, let's keep moving. That's a bigger topic. I just wanted to touch on it. Anyways, nutrients. I think I spelled that wrong. But anyways, it's nutrients. Many plants, specifically the legumes, since they fix nitrogen, and as we talked about, they do put that nitrogen into the surrounding soils. Not a lot, around 10% or something. But that nitrogen does help the surrounding plants. And then nurse crops. All right, so we haven't talked about them, but these last three, they're going to be maybe your more advanced concepts. Nurse crops will be like the crops in which you grow first and then you plant a crop under the nurse crop, and the nurse crop, the bigger plant, will provide shade and protection for the plant underneath. Again, as a beginner, I would say don't do that. We can decrease our harvesting intervals using nurse crops and other methods to overlap crops. And then we can also increase our space efficiency in pretty much the same methods and same ways. Those will be your like relay planting, intercropping, stuff like that. And we'll talk about that later on. But we're just getting familiar with the idea of companion plants. All right. So I do want to touch on some universals. Well, I call them universals. Usually, but what I mean is they are companions to everything. They are the, if we're talking about human personalities, they are the agreeable people. They can just make friends with anybody. And that's going to be your Chenopodiaceae, lettuce, and carrots. So it's pretty much all those, the plants that we talked about very first when we talked about our focused crop study, where we went through our focused crop study. All right, important notes. Legumes are nitrogen fixers. Those are going to be your nutrients. Alliums are your pest deterrents. Those are going to help you reduce pest insects. And legumes do not like alliums. So yeah, legumes do not like the alliums, and vice versa. So these two guys, don't plant them next to each other. Really, for what I've read, it's mostly concerning their roots. If their roots share the same space, they're going to be aggressive towards each other and not do as well. We'll put it that way. In general, aromatic herbs attract insects. I should probably put aromatic herbs and flowers attract insects, and this is going to be your pollinators and your predators. A few aromatic herbs that you can think of are like rosemary, sage, lavender, oregano, a few flowers, a few common flowers anyways, zinnias, cosmos, calendula, your marigolds. So those will be your we'll call them ecological companion plants. How's that? All right, and then, all right, let's let all that settle. That was quite a lot. Okay, how do you start? Well, start simple. Plant companion plants in adjacent rows, or you can also alternate within a row. But don't do more than 2 at a time. Don't do more than pairs. Don't make it too complicated. What I mean by this is, if you're going to, like, let's say, put lettuce, so I have a few ideas down here. Lettuce and onions. Let's say we make a bed with lettuce and onions. What you can do is you can either just put half of the bed in lettuce and half of the bed in onions. You can alternate rows, and as in lettuce, onions, or even within a row, you can do like a lettuce, an onion, a lettuce, an onion. But when you do that, follow the spacing that we've talked about. Don't compress the plants. Don't aggravate the plants in the sense of reducing their spacing requirements. Not that once you get better at doing companion plants, you can start reducing the spacing requirements. But for now, as a beginner, don't mess with that. Just keep it simple. Just plant companion plants adjacent to each other. That's all. A few ideas I wrote down. Tomato and basil works well. Garlic and strawberry works well. Lettuce and onions, as we just talked about, works well. This says brass and allium. So that's your family, Brassicaceae, and your family, Amaryllidaceae. Again, as we mentioned in a previous video, all the alliums all the Amaryllidaceae that we plant are within the genus Allium. So, family, Brassicaceae, family, Amaryllidaceae, they usually go well together. And then, we haven't talked about the family, Solanaceae, but that's going to be your tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and your potatoes. Those go well with beans, specifically your bush beans. Whenever you plant beans as a companion plant, always do it in the bush bean form. The vines are kind of finicky, so just cut those out of your mind right now. Always plant bush bean forms if you're going to do companion plants. So, right. All right, that was quite a lot. So, cool. Anything else? All right, my sources. So, again, Jesse Frost, awesome. Carrots Love Tomatoes, that's a little bit, so these next two books are, Jesse Frost is an overall, general, just really good book for gardening and farming. These next two books are good for companion plants specifically, and that's Carrots Love Tomatoes and Companion Planting. Now, companion planting, as I said, is kind of a up in the air I guess we'll call it a science, but it's very word of mouth. I don't know too many actual like academic science research behind companion planting. I do think it has very like strong validity. I think there are probably some research projects out there, but it's very much a loosey-goosey idea. So I would actually get 2 books if you're going to get into this, and then you can compare, contrast, and cross-reference. That's what I would do. But there are some pretty well-known companion pairs. All right, now with that. Cool. All right, closing. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.